Hey everyone, today's recipe is an easy apple crisp cheesecake. It has a graham cracker crust on the bottom, and then there's a layer of cheesecake, then there's a layer of apple pie filling, and on top is a crispy oatmeal crumble. I think you're going to love this one. It is really easy to put together. You don't have to chop any apples for it, and that makes it super easy. So let's get started. So first you want to make the graham cracker crust, and I'm making my own crumbs here. You need about 3 cups of graham cracker crumbs, and I'm just using my food processor here. You can also put the graham crackers into just like a freezer bag or something like that, and then just kind of hit them with a rolling pin or some kind of meat mallet or something to crush them up, but you want them crushed up really well. Oh, and it'll probably take almost a box of graham crackers to do this. If you crumble up a whole box, it's going to give you a little bit more than 3 cups, so it's pretty close though. All right, so you can see here how finely you want them crushed up. And then add 4 tablespoons of light brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, a half cup of unsalted butter melted. Actually, salted is okay. I just normally use unsalted butter for everything. So just take a fork and then mash everything up together and just kind of mix it up that way. I find a fork is easier to do this than a whisk because it kind of clogs up a whisk. So you want to test it and see if it's moist enough to stick together a little bit. If not, add a little bit more butter. I just added a 1/4 cup here. So just add it in and mix it up because you don't want it super dry. It's not going to form a crust if it's super dry. So once it's the correct consistency, add it to a 13 by 9 inch baking pan, and then I sprayed the pan so that the crust wouldn't stick to it, and then just spread it out evenly. I just used a fork for this, and then use like the back part of a measuring cup to sort of push it down, mash it down into the pan and up the sides a little bit. So you want to kind of compact it in there really good. So at this point, you're going to bake this at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes. Make sure your oven is preheated as well. And after it's baked, just set it here to cool while you make the other part of the cheesecake, and then reduce the oven temp to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't forget to do that. That's really important. So now you're going to make the cheesecake filling. You need 2 8-ounce packages of cream cheese, and then a 1/4 cup of packed light brown sugar, a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, half teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 2 tablespoons of just regular flour, and 2 large eggs. Also, I forgot to mention, you want the cream cheese to be near room temperature because if it's cold, it's not going to mix up very well and it'll kind of get clumpy. And then just know that I always put the link to the printable recipe in the description so you can get it there too. Also, I switched to a whisk because it still ended up getting a little bit clumpy for me. So I switched to a whisk. And by the way, you can use a hand mixer. You do not have to use a stand mixer for this. But anyway, I switched to that because it seemed to mix it up a little better anyway. All right, so just mix it up until it is completely smooth, and then add it to the crust that you've already pre-baked. And you want to just make sure that when you add it, you smooth it out. And y'all, if you're not using these silicone spatulas, you're missing out because they make everything so much easier. All right, so we're going to set that to the side, and we're going to work on the apple filling topping. And I'm just using 2 20-ounce cans of apple pie filling. So don't just use the apple slices in the can. You want the actual apple pie filling. So add that to your bowl, and then what I did here is I wanted to chop up the apples a little bit. So I just used my hamburger masher, and it kind of made it a lot easier. You can use a knife if you want to, just cut the apple slices, but I'd already had it in this bowl and I didn't want to just like take out the apple slices and cut them up, so I just used the masher here, and it worked pretty well. All right, so you can make these whatever size you want. You don't even have to do this. If you like larger slices of apples, that's fine too. And so now you just want to spread the apple pie filling evenly over the cheesecake mixture. And you can use 1 can if you don't want that much apple pie filling. It's just going to be a little bit sparse though, but that's up to you. All right, so now you want to set that to the side. You're going to make the crisp topping. So you're going to add a 1/3 cup of quick oats to a mixing bowl, a 1/3 cup of brown sugar, and again, I just used light brown sugar, a 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and then I'm using my fork again to mix everything up really well. And by the way, I used quick oats in case you're wondering instead of regular oats, because quick oats will cook down a little bit more. They won't be as crunchy when it's all cooked. Now add 6 tablespoons of butter and make sure that it is cool butter because mine got a little warm. Also, you want to cut it into small chunks like this. Anyway, mine got a little warm because my house was warm, and it kind of turned this topping into mushiness, which is okay. It ended up being fine, and it'll still work if this happens to you too. But the cooler the butter, the more it'll kind of make a crumble instead of just a big mushy mixture, which is what happened to me. Anyway, I'm just going for it, moving on. You can see it just makes it a little bit harder to kind of add it to the top of the apple pie filling here, but I made it work. So just going to add the crumble topping to everything that you've already put in your pan and just try to put it in there kind of evenly as you can get it, because it is going to kind of mound up together anyway, but that's okay because it's going to spread out a little bit as it bakes. So bake this at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for 35 to 40 minutes. The middle's still going to seem a little jiggly, but that's okay because cheesecakes will cook on their own as they set up. And now you want to cool this at room temperature for about 1 hour. And then after 1 hour, you want to cover it well with some plastic wrap. And you're going to chill this for at least 6 hours and preferably overnight because you want it to get really firm and it needs to sit in the fridge to do that. All right, so this is the next day, and you can see here that some of the butter that had melted on top kind of solidified, so that's what you're seeing here. That's okay. I'm okay with that because I love me some butter, so don't worry about that. That's just part of it. So now you're going to just cut it into slices and serve it. You can serve this cold if you like it cold. You can warm it up a little bit or let it sit until it comes to room temperature. If you do warm it, don't warm it too much. You just want it a little bit. If you do it too much, you're going to melt like the cheesecake filling in the middle. I personally liked it almost room temperature because I thought it was really creamy that way, and then you still get the crunchy topping on top. So I hope you like this one. Let me know if you make it, how you like it. Happy baking, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.